Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Regenerative Business Podcast. Sam here, and I have a special guest. I have Kylie Patchett on here, and you might have heard me on her podcast. I don't know what to even say about that, but maybe come introduce yourself, Kylie.
Hello, everyone. Yes, wild and fucking free podcast. That one is. We need to get a swear word in there straight away. Your episode, I think, is in season 4. But anyway, I can give you the link. I'm Kylie. Hello, everyone. I am a voice and visibility catalyst. I love working with what I like to call the Mad Hatters, so the out of the box, out of the matrix, disruptor, rebel, revolutionary folks. Often other neurosparkly people like me, often witchy, woo, all the beautiful, creative, out of the box people. And I feel like, and we'll get to this, but during our time working together, Sam, I shifted from doing done for you, copywriting, book coaching, and ghostwriting actually, into this full expression of my work, which when I say voice and visibility catalyst, it's the combination of magnetic messaging through storytelling, the art of storytelling, the magic of storytelling. I love stories, with this energetic and emotional capacity building work. Because if we put the strategy on top of a foundation of a little bit of like internal oppressor conditioning, then we are setting people up to fail. And that's what I loved about working with you, because you do, it's all the magic and the marketing sass and the like all the things. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
Yeah, Kylie's coming on today. So she was in the last round of the Regenerative Business Mastermind. She had just this insane transformation. So we're going to come and like really dissect it today, because she just had just this insane growth, and she has learned so much, and from her own expertise has really been able to, not to use the word, but to capitalize on it.
Yes.
Shit,
Well, that's
no.
true. That is true.
And I'm excited to just look at and look deeply into what were the exact things that helped her go from not only changing essentially like full offers and business structure and industries essentially, but also
Totally.
have this huge visibility growth. And we're also like, this isn't just the storytelling. She's also going to talk about how you can go from being silenced by the internal oppressor to actually having this awakened and activated voice. So I consider her a good friend. We're both neurospicy weirdos. So I'm just really excited for this conversation. So thank you for being here, Kylie.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm so grateful to be here. And I love the fact that we've got purple backgrounds, both of
I
us. So
know. We
that's
have a
a little
light
synergy.
purple, dark purple.
You actually just reminded me of something that I wrote as a headline on an ad last night. I was like, write like a weirdo, convert like a witch. And I'm like, that
Oh,
is
that's
basically my
good.
business in a nutshell. That's one line.
That's
So yeah. Do you know, one of the things I'm really not good at is like celebrating shifts in myself. And we talked about this. You were like, identity requires, like the shifts in identity requires moments of celebration to really anchor it. And
Yeah.
you made me go and buy these motorbike boots that we've been talking
You
about
are
the whole
so
launch.
resistant to these motorbike boots.
You know what the sad thing is though? They were too small, so I had to give them back. Anyway, that's a whole other story.
Wait. Did you get
I
other?
did.
Okay,
I
you got
did.
the right
I
size.
did. There was still a big celebration, and it was still, for me, it was like our motorbike is such a, that's an identity thing too, right? I've just turned 50, and part of me has this, oh wow, 50. That's, yeah, okay. That's like getting to middle age. Like my dad was 91 when he died. So I'm like, I'm going to live till at least 100. So 50 is only halfway, right?
Yeah.
But there is a little bit of, ooh. And then when we get on the bike, I'm like, I am a sassy badass. Like,
Yeah.
it's such a rebel kind of part of me that comes out. And so when you were inviting me to really celebrate and, yeah, identity shift, those boots were such a big, because they weren't cheap boots for starters. So it was like a financial investment in shift of identity, but that celebration and just the embodiment of having something, like I can actually, like I'm in bare feet now, but I can feel them on my feet now. That it's such a felt sense of like, this
Well,
is,
some behind the scenes with this is while during the 4 months of the mastermind, and Kylie was having this biggest month ever by like multiples,
oh,
not even like 2,000 more, like tens of thousands of dollars more than she'd ever
yeah,
made in a month.
yeah,
And
yeah.
she like wouldn't buy these boots that she coveted. And she was like, oh, maybe next month, maybe in a few weeks. Oh, I'm gonna wait for the photo shoot. And I was like, you can not only can you like above and beyond afford this, but there's like actually some really important magic in this.
Yes. So that's what I was going to say. I am learning to be better at celebrating like that. And
Yeah.
that was a real gift, one of many real gifts of working with you, with just understanding that inability to celebrate is almost, I don't really trust that this sort of expansion will stay. So I'm not going to mark it. I'm not going to embody it or really feel it. So I have really noticed the ways that I've done that. And as you're talking about, I changed my business model, I'm like, holy fuck. Like I signed up for your mastermind and it was such a, like I am such a spring person and I'm in Australia. So it is springtime here, right? So 1st of September, I actually chose for my second child to be born on that day because in Australia, that's the first day of spring. That's how much I love spring because I had to, yeah, anyway. So when we get into springtime, because I really struggle, like mental health wise, winter is not my favorite time. I really have to work at getting out in the sun and moving my body because I do get flatter in mood. And then spring comes and I'm like, like, hello world. And I could feel that, I don't know, that building and the rising of energy. And as I'm talking about it, what I'm feeling is those like little tiny green sprouts that start to unfurl, right, when the weather gets a little bit warmer. And I had seen your mastermind and I was like, this is for the last 4 months of the year. And I just knew there was something in my body that knew it was going to be a massive shift in direction. And then hearing you say, change my business model, I literally changed my entire business model and had my best month ever in 4 months. That is a little bit wild to think about when I look back.
Can we go back in time and what
Yes.
was your business before? Like, where were you sitting and what were you like annoyed with? What were you desiring? What did it look like?
Oh my goodness. So I have a weird neurosparkly ability to, so when I meet new people, I have the form of synesthesia that turns people into texture and color. And I don't know, I can't, it's hard to describe, but I get a feeling of their energy. And I am able to slip into that energy and write as that person and always have been. That's something that I've done in every single corporate career. I look back like I was a forensic biologist, weirdly, many years ago. But even then, it was like the ability to slip inside of like a story of a crime and feel what didn't feel right that helped me with the piecing together the puzzles. Anyway, that is a brilliant gift and it's lovely. However, there is only one of me. I also didn't really understand that was actually kind of shape-shifting energy-wise, and I didn't have any energy hygiene practices at all because I didn't really understand that's what I was doing.
Yeah.
And so I had a full roster of done-for-you storytelling clients. So I was writing website copy for people. I was ghostwriting. So when we started working together, I still had 2 full ghostwriting clients. I was doing 2 full books.
And we're talking about like writing books, right?
Whole books.
Yeah.
Whole books. Insane. Like as I'm talking about, I'm like, what the fuck was I thinking? But what I was thinking was I'd had an entrepreneur business before. I was running on one of the patterns that we'll talk about later, this overpreneur, over delivering, not able to receive, working hard for money. And then something happened in our personal life that really changed things. And I spat the dummy and went back to corporate. Yeah. So being back in my own business was such a huge freedom. I didn't know how to not create more of the working hard, like that, because that was my set point. I didn't, yeah, looking back now, it's very obvious, but it wasn't at the time. So anyway, I had a full roster of clients. I was working more than 40 hours a week, probably more like 60, 70. My income was capped because there's only one of me.
Yeah.
So I was struggling. And I remember, oh my God, this is in October. So second month of the mastermind, we had a Voxer coaching back and forth call. And I remember you said to me, so what do you really want to do? Because I'd come with 15 pages of notes to that call, which is hilarious. It's like such a control freak thing. And you said to me, can we just forget about all of those things that are very logical, but not actually what you're here for? What do you actually want to do? And I remember saying to you, I want to teach voice and visibility catalyst work because I don't want to do this for people. That's like catching a fish for someone. I want to teach them how to do it for themselves. And you were like, okay, so let's do that. And I'm like, okay. Like I hadn't even conceived that was possible until someone like you that's got that very perceptive ability just to go, so let's just cut through all of those 15 pages of shit. So yeah, and that was the moment literally everything changed. I know exactly where in my house I was. I know exactly what I was looking at when we had that conversation. And yeah, I just feel like that is such a fork in the road moment because I feel like I think I was probably in enough pain from the business model I had
Yeah.
that I was ready to say yes to something bigger. And also, I was borrowing your belief in me when I didn't quite have it in myself yet. And yeah, that just, it's amazing to look back because that is so far from what I am doing now and the way that my business is even structured. And yeah, and that first event that we ran just completely changed the game and showed me
Before
that it was possible.
Yeah,
Mm.
before we go into that,
Yeah,
as someone who was a done for you service provider for
yeah,
so many years, and like I know so viscerally that point of pain where it's just I cannot do this anymore. Like I can, especially when you're neurodivergent, especially when you
mm,
care and you're like I will do anything to get my client what they want. And so there's
exactly.
this like there is this over delivery that's a part of it, and it makes you so good at what you do. It makes
Yeah,
you so good at what you do, but there is this point of either like some insane boundaries or restructuring of the business, or you have to pull yourself out of it. And
yeah,
it's hard because, first of all, it's like what you've always done,
yeah,
and you're good at it, and there's
yes,
people there willing to pay you.
yes.
And like they're there.
Yeah, and getting feedback like no one's ever seen me like this
Yes.
before.
Yes.
I've worked with other copywriters like that. And I'm like, I'm bloody good at this, but it is costing me
Yeah.
so much and I cannot pay that price anymore.
Yeah.
And I'm not available to pay that price anymore. I think that was a really important line in the sand moment of just going, I'm not actually willing to create another business that burns me out, that collapses, that doesn't create enough income for me to have, because my highest value is freedom.
Yeah.
And that is the opposite of freedom.
Yeah.
Being at someone else's beck and call 24/7
Yeah.
is not freedom.
And I think that's the gift of getting older. And I'm like, I just turned 35, which I know is so young. That's so young. I
I
recognize
know,
that.
but still.
But still, like my energy levels at 35 are very different than at 30,
Oh,
very different than at
yeah.
25. So to be like what I was doing at 25, I could not do it now. I could
No,
not. Physically, I could not do it.
nope. Not me neither. And I think too, like this is a gift of like, I talk a lot about perimenopause with clients because I often work with midlife clients as well. The gift of perimenopause is a lot for a lot of us, not always, but for a lot of us, we have less energetic and well, less energy, but also zero fucks to give. I'm like, I don't care whether you like me anymore. I care whether I like myself. I care whether my life feels good from the inside out. I don't care what it looks like from your outside in because you are looking through lenses that I am not interested in. Like you are inside the matrix. I am not inside the matrix. Stop looking at me. So yeah, I think that is a real gift of, and it's the wisdom piece, right? Of who am I here to be? What do I really care about? And if I'm saying my highest value is freedom and I'm creating a business that is feeling like shackles,
Yeah.
there's a point in time when you're like, I've got to stop kidding myself. And yes, it's scary because I am good at this and there is people paying for it. And to say I'm closing my done for you doors was, are we really doing this?
And so if we dissect into the moment of transformation where you were like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, actually willing to look at what you want and admit it aloud to another person, had you realized it before and just because you said it to no one else, or you hadn't even realized it before?
I grew up the kid of an addict. So I've been on a long personal development journey for years and years. And I've trained in so many different modalities around emotional resilience and healing old stories and generational repatterning and all of those things. And I used to use that in my last business, but for some reason this time it felt very tender to bring that in. And I think it's because I was still like perimenopause really kicked my ass and there was a lot of trauma that came to the surface that I didn't even know that I hadn't dealt with. So I was too busy trying to tread water. And I just had this moment where I was like, you know what, if this is actually part of my own journey and the personal development journey of business, like we are in the wildest ride for
Yeah.
personal development and self-reclamation, if that is a huge part of what I'm doing parallel to all the strategy, who the fuck am I to stop using all of the things that I can bring to the table
Yeah.
and just keeping in this strategy storytelling land without also saying, because one of the deepest things that I was feeling in my body. Like I would write fucking amazing books. I know that book's not going anywhere because that person has so many visibility blocks that I can see because I'm a pattern recognizer. That's great. I've received the pay from that. I'm proud of what it is. No one will ever see it.
Wow.
because I can see there's this visibility and like worthiness blocks underneath the surface. And I could help, but I'm choosing not to. What the actual fuck? Like, and I say to clients all the time, your message is not about you. You are here to provide your gift to the world. Unfortunately, all of that conditioning and all the fears around visibility can stop that. And I'm like, and now there's a hole in the fabric of what we're meant to be delivering. So all of us lose.
Yeah.
So yeah, and sometimes I say it a little bit more bluntly, it's not fucking about you. But that's really what I had that tough talk to myself too. Like, are you listening?
So in that moment, you'd never thought about it before. Like it was never crossed your mind because you were just treading water. Yeah.
I was just treading water and I was so fucking tired because of how I had structured my business that I had no pause time to listen to what was actually very obvious.
Yeah.
And yeah, which is a massive problem, obviously.
And you turned around and immediately implemented. What allowed you to do that? Or tell that story and what allowed you to do that?
So in that conversation we had, I said, I want to do voice and visibility catalyst work. I don't even know, like we've all got made up titles, right?
Yeah.
What the fuck does that even mean? But in my head, it was like, bring the strategy and the soul, put it together with sisterhood, with community, because we all need that. And so that was very clear in that moment. And then I was planning, I don't even know what the original plan was, but I wanted to, no, I actually don't think there was a plan. Anyway, we had that conversation and we then talked about how could we.
You were going to do like your book writing day live or something?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yes, because which is still evergreen, but I used to run a 1-day workshop on how to plan, map out your book and not just.
And you're going to get more book writing clients.
Yes, exactly. Oh my God. Can you imagine? Oh, my little heart just shriveled. Yeah. So then I was like, okay, scratch that idea because I don't want to build that business. And then I had this idea. I was like, what if I did this activation? Originally, it was going to be 21 days, God forbid. Anyway, it ended up being 11 days and it was all around voice and visibility. So helping people understand the mindset and the energy and the visibility issues on the surface, and then teach them a bit of storytelling, and then teach them this self-devotion, self-care, like connecting to the soul of your business and your soul type of stuff. Was like the 3 pillars that I kept seeing in my head. And now I think of them as voice, visibility, and vibration, because it's that kind of energy type of, I love alliteration. And yeah, so then Scene was born. So the program activation that I ran in November, and I think we did that Voxer call October the 6th. The sales page was up a couple of weeks later. And in the same call, you were like, oh no, I think it was in a mastermind call. You said to me, so how many people would you like in? And I'm like, oh, I don't know, like 15, 20 would be cool. And you're like, is that really what you want? And I'm like, 200 would be good. And then I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about, you crazy nutter lady? You've got a tiny little list. Not at all that. Anyway, you challenged me and said, how could we open the door to that happening? And then there was some mindset stuff around, receivership and visibility around my dad, and just feeling like you're betraying people because my dad was born in the Depression in Australia, long-term army man, beautiful, beautiful man, and also did not believe that money could come easily. Yeah. So I had things to wade through before I could really show up. Anyway, I had 201 people sign up, which was
instead of 15.
15, I know. But I think that so demonstrated to me that so often I had desired something bigger. Yeah. And then said that my desire was much smaller because I was so afraid to go all in, and I was afraid what that success would mean, and can I really hold it? And that's a lot of responsibility, and again, they're visibility blocks, like all this stuff under the surface. And then I turned up at that call. There was 125 people live, which was insane because Australian time doesn't really work for the rest of the world half the time. And I remember I did an opening circle because I was like, if I'm going to do this, I'm coming out full witch in every aspect of myself that I had been keeping under the cover. And we did a ceremony to open the circle. And I still remember the feeling of I had been talking about how the golden threads that run through our lives that allow us to lean into our life purpose and our destiny, like all those little dots that go together that lead you eventually to where you're meant to be going. I was like, imagine all of those golden threads. There's 200 of us standing in a circle around this big tree, like we did a whole meditation around it. And imagine that your golden thread is I've got goosebumps, like intertwining with every other disruptor, rebel, revolutionary in this circle, and everyone else that will, because there was 200 there, but since then 382 people have gone through the evergreen version of
Oh
it,
my
which is
gosh. In
wild. I
addition,
know.
wait, in
Sorry.
addition to the 200?
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my God, so good.
I
Okay.
know. It's become a $25,000 product. It's a $33 activation. I know, it's wild. And also then $70,000 worth of mastermind sales off the back of that. This one decision and it's such a testament to the space holding that you offered us, that you can actually say that you want this. And then you kept challenging me about this hold the pose thing, which I always credit you, but I'm always like, can you hold the pose of a woman who actually has 200 people in that room? Can you hold the pose of a woman who talks about this event again and again? And at that stage, I was terrified of doing lives on Instagram. Remember the first one? I had to do the first one lying on the floor because I felt like I was going to vomit and I needed to ground myself. So I was like, fuck it, I'm going to do it because I told them I was going to do it. I'm going to lie on the floor. You can still see it on my Instagram feed somewhere, probably beginning of November, where I was terrified. I don't know why. Like, I'm obviously a talker, but something about the live thing was really an edge for me. And yeah, you just kept on, can you hold the pose? And it's like, how would the version of me that believed that 200 people across the world could need this and could say yes to it and spend $33 on it and choose me as the guide to do it? And that completely changed the results of the launch, but also then changed the trajectory of my business, like literally. And I'm like, imagine if you hadn't said, do you really want, I could have had 15.
Yeah.
And that would have been lovely. And I would have gone back to done for you work more than likely. And I would probably still be struggling and maybe burning out right now.
Yeah. Okay, so I want to scoot back a few steps because there's a few things that, because I'm like, I want to deconstruct. I want to deconstruct all of these things. First of all, just with what you were saying of hold the pose, this is an idea I learned from like the spiritual and year-long intensive thing I took in my early 20s. And the leader of the group talked about this, not only in the like holding the meditation poses, is like you're holding the pose, but it's also around, I can't remember if she used like the term queen or something, like queen energy and stuff. I can't remember, but it's like when you're going into the world and your external reality isn't matching what you are internally wanting, like you have to internally hold the pose of what you want until the external reality matches. And I remember, Kylie, you really had a really clear transmission. I think you used like an AI visualizer to show the actual archetype of the person that you printed out and had it right in front of you. And you're like making eye contact with this archetype every day. And it was like, I'm holding the pose, I'm connecting with this energy.
There was a whole thing. So at the beginning of 2024, I've been doing the word of the year for a long time. And the last couple of years, I felt into the word wasn't capturing it. It was more of an archetype, like something that I wanted to bring in or embody. And I just let them come to me. So not from the head. And the one that came to me was the Empress. And I remember talking to a friend of mine who's a womb healing person. And I was having a session with her. I'm like, I can't be the Empress. That's bloody ridiculous. I'm just little old Kylie from a little country town. And she's like, really? When I think about the Empress, like she's pregnant with possibility and she's also very receptive and she's very connected to nature. And so I had her everywhere. And so the whole holding the pose became so connected to that picture. And like I'm a yoga teacher as well. And to me, holding the pose, it's such a good way of helping people to understand that every single emotion has a structure in your body. You know that when you're depressed or flat, you're inward, you're confident, you've got that beautiful, strong spine. And so all of those things. And I was just like, oh, okay, I understand this. Am I in my Empress energy? So much so that the first day of scene, I went and got a huge Empress tattoo on the top half of my arm, which is a copy of that picture. And I'm just about to get a phoenix during this activation because that is my archetype this year. Yes. Yeah, I was very resistant to the phoenix. But anyway, I had a real process around, like when I went into my office, that was like, there was no like rushing to the computer to get shit done because that was such a big thing for me. It was like, take the time, you light the candles, you set the intention. You'd given us a beautiful oil, which I actually just used this morning again. Like there's a little tiny bit left, so I have to be very I'm like, not every day. But I had a whole process where I was like, yeah, energetically, physically, and also just identity shifting. This is what I'm holding for myself. I want that freedom and the receptivity and the connection to those cycles of nature. And I want that for myself far more than I'm going to fight for the limited stories of working hard or doing good work and people pleasing my clients and all of those things that used to be so part of my identity. I was just like, yeah. So I feel like that was a huge part. I'm just laughing because I have a massive Morrigan picture on one side of my wall because she keeps turning up in my journeys at the moment. So I was like, all right, obviously you're meant to be delivering something, but man, she's like the dark goddess. I'm like a little bit scared of her. But anyway.
Like dark purple?
Maybe. I don't know. Yeah, she actually does have purpley robes on. Yeah.
I'm making fun of what you were saying with the paint in the background.
Yes, exactly.
And I want to highlight that with coming, if you look at I made a decision, I'm going to go actually after what I want and be reminded of that. And then you actually get the 200 people signing, or like you run the ads, you write the good copy, like 200 people sign up. And I feel like a lot of people can write this off as, okay, it was ads and copywriting. Like that was the thing. But if you look back, like you're talking about, you had to actually face the fact that you were going to completely go against your dad's ethos in life.
Yep.
And come to and actually face him and come to terms with it and recognize that he would have loved you to be,
of course he would have. Yeah.
successful. I remember that, and it was like really hard for you to face it. And it was like you also went through so much tech resistance because
Yes.
ads for the first time, it's just confusing. It's not like an intuitive platform, and it's not a pretty platform. It's not doing like any serving you at all, or a person at all. So to go in that as someone who's not in love with tech and be like, you kept on having issues, and you were just like, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this.
Because I'm like, if the Empress is what you want to embody, it's not just when shit's going well. And this is where I think a lot of people fall down. It's, oh, I'm going to do this and I'm going to work this way. And as soon as there's a trigger, it's slippery dip back to the old ways of being. And I'm just like,
this is a sign that this is the wrong
this
direction.
is a sign. I'll fuck off. No, it's not a sign. Maybe it is. I think that is a very good, get out of jail for free card. But yeah, I am very tech, like good with tech mostly, but that ads platform, there's something that happens in my brain. I go in there and I'm like, I have no idea. I'm better at it now, obviously. I remember saying to you, like, I was so afraid to spend like $50 a day in ads because I'd had such bad experiences in my first business.
Yeah.
And then they were returning like 4 and 5 times ad spend. And I remember like Shane and I were laying in bed one day and I'm like, oh, I'll just check and see if these ads are working. And I remember going, we just earned $2,000 American, which is like the Australian dollar is worth like 2 cents American, and in our sleep. And so I was constantly, the way that I was describing it to people was this identity shifting is at the same time discombobulating and hugely expansive and terrifying. And it was, so what I realized was holding the pose was not actually about holding just all the good stuff coming in. It was all of everything, like all of it, like the tech stuff and maintaining that resilience, the ability to be seen more, the ability to receive more money in the bank account. And it felt easy, like all of these things that were very new. And I think the other thing too, like with the whole conversation with my dad, once we'd had that conversation, I was like, you know what? There is literally no reason why I can't just completely back myself. And that was the moment when I decided that the sales page was going to speak directly to there was no part of me that was trying to water down myself, the edginess with which I work, and also obviously the safety and the gentleness. But we are not fucking around here. This is your life purpose. It's not. So that sales page was like I feel like it was like a stamp of, and even the ad that went crazy, the whole tagline was "Good girls do not lead revolutions." And I remember actually getting some really negative comments on the ad and having to really hold that as well. Like that people were saying I was shaming women. And I'm like, actually, no. But anyway, whatever, that's fine. And like really holding the edge of this is actually the fullness of who I am. So if we're not hiding behind the visibility and we're not hiding behind the money patterning from my dad and we're not hiding behind any other thing, who the fuck am I underneath all of this stuff?
Yeah.
And that was wild too, because it's like I actually ended up like magnetizing to me these humans that I absolutely love working with,
Yeah.
as opposed to sometimes book coaching clients that were high maintenance,
Yeah.
because that's where I was vibrating at the over delivery, over caring, killing myself to provide something for you type of thing. And that's wild too. It's like you can literally decide and then act from that decision and hold the pose. And reality repatterns, like you are reweaving your reality, but there is a gap. And I think that's what people get screwed with. It's like you said before, embodiment from the inside, it's holding it whilst your reality does not actually reflect it back to you yet.
Yeah.
And yeah I know I keep using the word wild, but that's the only way I can describe it.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then one other thing from that I remember from that period was, and you'd said this just right now, of unveiling yourself as the witch. I'm not holding this back. And I remember during your 11-day activation of Scene, people, so many people within of the 200 people that were in their live were being like, saying that they're unveiling themselves as the witch for the first time. And
Yes.
of course, there's a difference between people who are like actually imposters, who are trying to like
Yes.
pull one over and pretend something that they're not. But there's a difference between that and being like, I have all of this expertise, I've just been afraid to actually share it or share it in this specific way. And
Yeah.
you were just on the edge of the miracle of unveiling that immediately activated everyone else in that
I
scenario.
know, it was crazy. Like at least 30 people on social media were like, if the definition of witch is a woman who is in her own power, speaks her truth, is connected to nature, and uses unseen support forces, and everyone's got a different
Mhm.
definition, but
Mhm.
if that is the definition, I am a witch, always have been. And so many people still to this day will be like, oh yeah, I came out of the broom closet in the scene activation. That's just such, it was such a thing. And it was like, oh my God, like actually me saying who I really am and calling in the people who I really want to work with, it's this ripple effect that continues to go, because she can actually be who she is and turn up the way she is completely messy and magical, like not just the beautiful stuff, but also the can't find my car keys and I swear like a trucker and all of those things. And if she can do that, then I can do that too. And
Yeah.
that is, it's such a cool thing. And that's why I call this work activation and catalyst work, because it's just, yeah, it's that first like spark of, oh my God, this is possible.
Yeah.
Now I can lean into it.
Mhm.
But a lot of people don't think that it's possible to just be them, their full selves, and have their business support them and to receive for their natural gifts without having this, I don't know, the grind or the trying on for size, a different way of moving through the world. It's like that is exhausting. And every single cell of you that is taken up by that pretending and that masking and that polishing and that prettying up, when it's released, is like magnetism.
It's
So
almost
over
like
here,
what with your thing of, a lot of people are like, oh, I can't go after what I want. And it's like the truth is like what they're saying they want isn't actually what they want. So
correct.
they're like, I can't have what I want. It's too hard and blah blah blah. But it's like they're not even claiming what they actually want and activating that magic.
And I think that a lot of that is, can I really want this much money and still be a good girl or a good person? There is such a clusterfuck around money and receivership and being seen and this goodness, or
Let's talk
yeah,
about the internal oppressor. Tell me about the internal oppressor. I feel like there's
yeah. This is a wild conversation I just had. I'm such a verbal processor, so I
yeah.
only just made this connection. So I'm often talking about like the systems of oppression that teach us that we don't have as much power. We should be quiet. We don't have a seat at the table. We are XYZ, whether it's a woman or whatever, like all the isms, all of the bullshit that's out there. And I'm like, the most revolutionary thing we can do is actually silence the voice of the internal oppressor. And the internal oppressor is just all that oppression out there, whether it be societal, patriarchal, cultural, familial, and we turn it into this internal oppressor.
Mhm.
Like often, like we're in our own businesses, we have, not always, but for the majority of people in the Western world who are entrepreneurs, we have a lot of freedom to just do and say and create from our mind and then charge money for it. Isn't that wild? It's like haven't been able to do that. And so what stops us? It's the internal oppressor that says you don't deserve that. You're not good enough. You don't have anything to say. People aren't going to listen to you. People are going to judge you. People are going to cut you down. You can't say that because your family will see you.
Yeah.
So all of this oppression externally has been turned into this internal oppressor. I'm like, oh my God, I always think I'm leading a revolution. That's the revolution. It's silencing the voice of the internal oppressor and understanding that is all just learned limitation. It is not, if you think about like internal family systems language, like that is not your authentic self with a capital S, like I call it the wild woman, like the wild woman inside of you who knows what she wants and is like this much more untamed and unshamed than the way that we mostly show up in the world. Like that voice and the internal oppressor voice are very different. And when you take the pause and can be aware enough to understand the difference, it's like, oh, this voice is just all of the shit that I've been taught about how naturally, and this is so much the case for neurosparkly people, the way that I naturally am, I have often been taught many times over that is not okay.
Yeah.
You're too loud, you're not focused enough, you can't concentrate, you're too enthusiastic. I got told so many times as a kid, don't be so passionate, don't talk so much, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, fuck you, that's my entire business. I get paid to do this. Internal oppressor versus external. You want to break the hold of the external oppressor and you want to disrupt and create new ways of living. Break the internal oppressor first, because she's not going to let you do any of that. Yeah. It's wild when you think about it. I'm like, oh my God, that's the revolution. Like,
and how does that connect in with the voice activation work?
Because every single part of this is that internal oppressor saying, you can't say that, you can't speak up, you can't say what you really want, you can't say what you really desire and lean into it. And I use the word unapologetic a lot. And I think it's important to define that, because I think when I say unapologetic, sometimes people think loud or brassy or almost arrogant. It has to be a showy, and it's no. Unapologetic to me is being able to speak the truth inside of you, that wild woman truth, with absolutely no connection to how other people are going to perceive it, whether it hurts anyone else's feelings or whatever. And there's a lot of people who will be listening going, but that's not good. It's like the truth fucking sets you free again and again and again. And yeah, there's an edge, but that unapologeticness, that is the magnetism. That is, like I always talk about when I'm thinking about magnetic messaging with clients, I'm like, when you are diluting yourself because the internal oppressor is saying, pretty it up, make it fancier, make it softer, don't say that, la, 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 la. And you do that, the bat signal that you're putting out there is prettied up, polished up, professional. Guess who you're calling in? All the people that need and want you to turn up like that. And then you're a human. So the difference between this persona and you, there's a gap, and that's exhausting. And it's like, how about we deal with the internal oppressor, change the bat signal to just be like, you know what, this is who I am, the fullness of me. And if you don't like someone, like I am a shocker at typos because I can't type to save myself, never learnt. I can spell fine, but if you need perfect copy, you are not my people.
Yeah.
And I won't apologize for that anymore. I know that's a tiny example, but that unapologetic voice, it doesn't just change your business. It ripples through, like you think about your relationships when you're totally in your truth. Think about, like, for the people that are parents, like how parenting changes when you're totally in your truth. And the evidence that you're giving your kids of, oh, I can actually just be myself and show up as myself and not need or want anyone else's love or approval.
And with Scene last year, you actually being in that unapologetic truth and actually doing what you wanted to do, truly wanted to do, what was the impact for people?
Oh, like the thing that I was told time and time again, permission slip, seeing me step into that, because I never ever pretty up what's actually happening in the behind the scenes of my business. Like I just think that it's almost like it's a self-defense mechanism for me, because I'm like, if I tell you the shit that's going on behind the scenes, there is nothing that you can discover about me that is going to be a problem. So just showing up unapologetically, the permission slip. And also we did this one section of Scene that was really and it's really what the internal oppressor is. I always call it the sticky note. It's what sticky note were you given in your family of origin? What was your role? What was your assigned? And for me, kid of an addict, I was the carer, like I was the parentified kid, right? That comes with patterns of behavior. Some people are the good girl, some people are the rebel, some people are the peacemaker. That, if you look at your business through the lens of where is this sticky note from childhood still playing out and screwing with my ability to be my full self and to be seen and heard and richly rewarded for being my full self, that sticky note, that day, I remember people were like, oh my God. And I'm like, that was the huge point in time for me where I was like, this is why you can never just teach strategy ever again. I just will not. Yeah, because and that continues. Like I've got one beautiful lady in South Australia here, Marianne. She just did a share because she saw that Raw, the newer voice and visibility activation was coming up, and she did this 15-minute video about how it changed her life. Because inside of Scene, she was just like, oh my God, my entire website is bullshit. My entire website is the prettied up, polished up version of me. So she completely rewrote her entire website, and her business has exploded because of that, because she was like, I'm still showing up as the form of me that I think I need to be to get the success. And that, I'm like, the ripples of that. Yeah. And also, the broom closet.
Yeah, all the people out of their broom closets.
The ripple effect of them coming out and also then magnetizing those people. So yeah, I always think voice and visibility work to me, that's the term that I use, but really at the heart of it, it's self-reclamation. It's untaming and unshaming, like understanding all of the ways you've been taught that you have to believe. And it's almost like a sorting table. It's, yes, this is actually me. This is not me. And then the self-reclamation is, oh my God, like this is who I am. And I actually really who I am. And I think that is definitely the midlife thing. It's I don't really give a fuck whether you like me or not anymore. So much more than earlier in my life. But yeah, self-reclamation and just be your full self is so much less exhausting. And then the ripple from that is, so how does your business, what are your offers? And I always say, fuck yes, offer suite. We want you to be feeling like, yeah, I get to do that. And of course, people want to buy it because that's like the bomb. So that's magic. What is better than self-reclamation? Is who the hell were you here to be? And how long are you going to wait? Sorry.
So going back to your story with you essentially doing this, right?
Yes, exactly. Right? Always on the edge of your own expansion, I say.
What were the immediate results and what has been the rippling results in the last year now? Because it's been a year.
So Scene itself, like the $33 activation, has now become a more than $20,000 product. Now I'm talking Australian dollars, just to be clear. So $33 US was a ticket price, but I always look at so $20,000 from that. That continues to be evergreen, and hilariously, I turned ads off. I don't know why, but that is continually a funnel into my world. It's 11 days. It was a huge thing for a $33 product, but it is really that like introduction and marination in what I do and who I am and how it feels to reclaim. From that, I didn't have anything to offer people next. Like I was not organized at all because I was in the middle of changing my entire business. But then about, I don't know, 3 months later, I was like, I'm going to create a mastermind because I love working in depth, really intimately with small groups of people. That is like definitely a genius zone of mine. And so 7 of those people, none of whom had ever, no, that's not true. One of them had been in my universe. The rest were from Scene directly, from cold ad traffic.
Yeah.
Then paid $7,000 to be in a mastermind. And 4 of those 6 people have now also signed up for another year. So the ongoing kind of ripple effect from an income perspective. So what is that? It's like 42 and then, I don't know, say 80,000 and change plus the 20,000 originally. So that one decision, $100,000. But more than that is how I feel day to day. Like I have a calendar that has a couple of calls a week in it.
Yeah.
Only on days that I like to. I am very free flow with the rest of it. I'm such a like dive in and hyper focus when that creative flow comes. I love not having a calendar that's choppy changey with all these calls and things. Yeah. The freedom of that. And just feeling anchored in what I do in the world. It's like, I love what I do. I love who I work with. And so that changes everything. Like it changes the way your nervous system is. It changes your set point of just, my internal oppressor doesn't turn up very often. And when she does, it's very easy to be like, okay, I call my internal oppressor Brian. I'm like, Brian, you're being a bitch. Sit in the beanbag over there with your popcorn. You're not needed. And it's changed income, but more importantly, it's changed the frequency with which I show up day to day. I think that, and that peacefulness from not trying to be anyone else.
Yeah.
The amount of space that takes up in your brain and your heart and your soul
Mhm.
is, yeah, magical. Yeah, no done for you work anymore. And the beautiful thing too is now that I have a suite of offers that teach people how to do it for themselves, is that then you can see them. I have a perfect example. Like I have in Australia, psychology, it's very bordered by professional
Yeah.
rules and regulations. We have a regulator called APRA. And I often end up working with psychologists that are much more woo than psychology will allow them to be. And so they want to shift from psychology to more of that therapy and coaching end of
Mhm.
things. But they are so bound in their head. The internal oppressor absolutely is the voice of this regulation authority, plus
So
all the other
funny as
shit.
psychologists, right? Like,
I know,
like I
ridiculous.
think
It
that's like the whole point of
is insane. And they all are like, that model does not work for people. Talk therapy, CBT talk therapy, for the majority of people does not work when you've got all of these somatic and other tools. And I remember talking to one of these beautiful ladies, she was a masterminder, and I just realized, Kylie, that I know who I am and what I'm actually offering people.
Yeah.
And that clarity only comes from stripping away all the things that you've been taught are the right way to do things. And
Yeah.
I'm like, that means that then my work's impacted her like that, but that ripples across all of her clients and all of the people she works with. And then all of those, like that is the cool thing, like the ripples in the pond that, and I don't have to break myself to do it.
Mhm.
This work gives me energy.
Yeah.
That, and then that magnetism, like you can tell when someone loves what they do because there's like a, it's not always joy, it depends on what sort of, like I turn up to coaching calls, I'm like, hi.
Mhm.
And because it's genuinely what I love to do. And I'm like, oh my God, if not for that one tiny conversation between you and I could still be doing done for you work, which scares the absolute crap out of me. But anyway, there but for the grace of God. Yeah.
It's funny every time because I've changed my business model a few times now
Yeah.
over the last 10 years. And every time I do, it's just a hard decision. It's like there's
Yes.
so much internal resistance around it because I have this everything is set in place. I know how it works. I like know like even if I'm like overworking or whatever or like
Yes.
having all of these like negative things happening, I'm still like
Mhm.
set in the this is what I know.
Yes.
And the question that's helped in especially in the last 2 years, I've made the big transition from like mainly higher ticket to pretty
Yes.
much all low ticket. And the question I was asking myself that allowed myself to really move forward with what I wanted was like, is this the thing that I'm willing to work for? And if I think about, yes, this vision of what I had is worth the work. I don't know how long it
Yes.
will take. I don't know how,
Yes.
what, even the how around it. Full,
Mhm.
like, I don't have the proof of personal proof around it, but
Yeah.
if I can get there, is it worth the work? And that's
Yes.
been something really, and like same with the transition for like when I was like 100% done for you into doing coaching. Like it was like, is it worth the work? Both like the emotional,
Yes.
internal,
Yeah.
energetic, but also like the actual like I have to do the
Hours
things.
in. Yes.
Yeah. So it sounds like you had success from day one around it,
Yeah.
which like you worked hard for it. You definitely worked
I
hard
did.
for
And
it.
like the other thing, it sounds like we're talking mainly about the like the benefit of the expansion, but I will also say I came up against huge edges.
Yeah.
And now I look back and think, yeah, I had that enormous month in December. I also went through a contraction of, I don't know whether I can hold this. I
Yeah.
think looking back at that, I feel like there was, and it's funny going into this launch, which is a very similar offer, it just feels very different. Like that, like the Empress embodiment, like she's already who I am. I'm
Yeah.
just stretching into a deeper expansion of that kind of thing. But I think that this is, yeah, I don't think it's our nature to continually always expand. If you think
Totally.
about those
Yeah.
beautiful, like the dahlia blooming and then contracting a little bit, blooming and contracting a little bit. But the anchoring and the grounding that I feel in this activation, it just feels different. And that is a really cool thing to feel.
Yeah.
during the scene activation, like I worked hard for it. Like I voice noted 1,000 people in that launch. That is insane. I lost my voice in the middle of it.
Side note, when Kylie was doing this launch and she was running ads, and side benefit of running ads is you'll get new followers because
Yes.
new people are seeing you. And every time someone followed her, she would send them a voice memo. And
Yep.
it worked so well. Like there
It
was a
did.
clear payoff around it,
Yep.
but it was
Yep.
just like you were working.
I was working, and the thing is, I feel, and I'm still doing it in this launch as well, but I noticed that the last launch, there was I wanted to connect with people and welcome them. Like the intention was always there. And there was also a little grippy kind of energy of this is what I need to do.
Mhm.
Whereas this time, like I've got about 60 people in the last day and a half. Like I've been on a little mini vacay in the middle of my launch, which has been lovely. And I will connect with them, but I don't feel like, oh, this is an obligation. I feel like when the space opens up, that I feel like I've got a few minutes where I'm just, because I don't want it to be a tick and flick thing. So if I can't do it from the energy I want to do it, I won't do it. And that is cool as well to just notice. Because at the very heart of who I am, I love people's stories. So I'm like I was talking to someone the other day who was in British Columbia in a little community that's like 300 people. How would you ever, like my life would not have intersected with hers, except that she saw an ad, responded to it, came, and I just went, oh, hey, da 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 da, and just shared a little bit about who I was and where I am, and then asked where she was. And this beautiful conversation. And I've met so many people like that. And yes, some of them have become clients, some of them have become friends, some of them become collaborators. And it's just like your voice and using your voice to connect, and the energy, the frequency of who you are as a person is so powerful. So powerful. Yeah.
So obviously the contraction after the scene launch last year, we're happy with how it worked out. And like, of course, we're not always trying to grow, but what are you changing this year? Because you're doing Roar right now. What are you changing this year
Yes.
in your business structure or with
Yeah.
how you're caring for yourself to prevent or change the contraction?
So different. Like I just said, I've been away on holidays for 3 days with a friend from Melbourne, because these days I understand that my joy and my energy and how I'm feeling in myself is the key thing that I want to take care of, because it allows me to show up in the most ease and most myself, because I'm full. I just spent 3 days with my beautiful friend who I never see in real life, that just happened to be in the nearest capital city. And it's a festival there. So we saw these light shows and fire twirls, and like I've got all my dopamines like da, 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 da. And now I'm like, okay, now I'm ready to come back and like love on this launch. And I think from the point of view of the actual container scene was 11 days, and it was a lot for people. It was me still carrying out a little bit of the over delivery thing. So this time I'm like, okay, let's strip this all the way back to be as simple and potent as what it can be. So it's now a 3-day activation, which is a much
Instead of
more accessible.
11 days.
I know.
I'm
We
so
still
glad.
have it.
Last year I told you that you couldn't do 21 days.
God, I would have died. I said to my friend the other day, the last day of scene last year, my beautiful husband drove me to a town 45 minutes away to go to this beautiful Turkish restaurant we love. And I remember sitting at lunch and I was almost asleep. That's how tired I was. And I was like, I don't want to create that. I loved the experience, but I also did it in a way that cost me too much. So therefore, I'm not willing to pay that price. And so it's, what are the key, like, what's the one thing that I can give people that will give them that self-awareness that could lead to self-reclamation? Because really that's the internal oppressor freedom. And it's so funny, I was saying to you before we started recording, like 10 years ago I wrote a book called Making Friends with Fear. So funny. I was mainly doing mindset coaching and neurosparkly brain pattern recognition. I was noticing these patterns of behavior that were helping my clients stay stuck in certain things. Like, yes, you could say, let's try this strategy, but there was these mindset things underneath this, like self-belief, self-trust pattern of behavior. And so I wrote a book about them. I called them the anti-entrepreneurs. And back then there was 7 of them, and they were all based on those patterns, but I had noticed that they lined up to the traditional Chinese medicine 5 elements and the chakra system. And so there was a whole beautiful series, and people loved them. And then a year later, I closed my business down because something happened, and I was just like, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. And here I am 10 years later, having dived more into like human design. Because if I go back to my genetics training from very originally, there will literally never, ever be, and never has been, anyone else with your individual genetic fingerprint. Even identical twins will have like environmentally enough differentiation to be very different, not very different. So I'm like, this is the key to the golden thread that then weaves through the whole collective being much more healthy. And then I started like looking into human design. I'm like, hang on a minute. There's this energetic piece. And then I'm like, oh my fucking God, it's the anti-entrepreneurs, but they line up to the human design centers and my brain's, woo! And so now the anti-entrepreneurs that I created, the whole fear frame to freedom frequency shift method that I created 10 years ago, is now a 9 anti-entrepreneur system, because it does line up to the 9 centers. And it just gives people an understanding of where the conditioning, like I call it the Achilles heel of visibility. Like all of us have all of this going on, but what's getting in your way the most right now? The Achilles heel. So the activation introduces people to the 9 anti-entrepreneurs, helps them to uncover their specific one. And then I teach the fear to freedom activation that I've been doing.
Can we get a little preview? Can you like share one of the 9, or the most potent one, or the most common one, or something?
Yeah. Do you know what? Because I have a quiz as well that self-diagnoses. I know, it's fun. I only just created it. Like I'm so totally pantsing this launch. I haven't even got the sales page for the next offer done. That's my next job today with 3 days to go.
So side note, pantsing, that's from Sacred Attraction Formula, and like writers in general. Are you writing a book, or are you running a launch as like a planner or a pantser?
Do you know what? That planner is actually, so my Achilles heel, if we're talking about like the overworking version of me that has run my business before, is part of that overpreneur is really locking things down into control and planning. 15 pages of notes for a 1 session with Sam Garcia, for instance.
It was a fun.
Looking at you. Yeah. So now pantsing this launch, oh my God. Number 1, huge self-trust required to be a pantser. Number 2, magic unfolding left and center, like this interview, because I was just like, okay, these ads aren't working as well as what I thought they might. What else could I wonder what, and just giving it over to the energy and waiting for the answer to drop in and responding to that. So much more freedom. Anyway, so the quiz was part of the thing that I was like, I'm going to do a quiz. So in the quiz, I noticed there's been about 118 people do it. And by far, the biggest type that turns up is the dreampreneur, which is actually one of my favorites. I love a dreampreneur because
which center?
They are the
crown. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you can imagine, if anyone knows human design, so this is the inspiration. So in its shadow, in the fear frequency, it is so many ideas and so much, I want to say mental masturbation, but can we say that? I don't know. So much pouring in, but often not getting grounded here. No grounding. So I don't trust myself enough to actually pick one of those ideas and trust that it's mine to bring down here, make manifest and create in the world. And so it's the underlying fear, like the core fear is fear of successes. If I choose one thing and shine as bright as I can, because these people in the freedom frequency are the visionaries. They are literally the people that will repattern ways of being. But they're so fucking afraid of their own power so often. And I'm like, wow, like I'm talking, I think it was like 37% of people that have answered the quiz, that was their Achilles heel. I'm like, that is really interesting, because I feel like the pendulum is very close to tipping back in the other direction with all the shit going on in the world. And I'm like, dudes, all you visionaries, this is your wake-up call. Time is now.
Yeah.
Get the fuck over all of this. And it's like that churning around and the inspiration and ideas, but never actually doing anything.
And if we go back to the beginning of your story, one of the superpowers that you did was you ran with something.
Yeah.
You ran with something immediately. And I think there's a lot of like ADHDers have total, like that is a superpower if you run with something and go with it versus just stewing or whatever, like changing directions a gazillion times. But it also helps you like be in the miracle, which is easier for selling, is easier for getting your clients transformation when you're in the miracle of the work, but it's you have to run with it. So you can't just dream about it.
As we're talking, I made like when the original anti-entrepreneurs I used because I love retro styling. So I keep coming back to this retro kind of feel and the pop arty kind of feel. But the anti-entrepreneur pictures for each type were very like 60s and 70s. And I'm like, hang on a minute, Kylie, you're talking about healing the good girl wound, but you're using pictures that are like Stepford wife kind of. And I'm like, what the actual fuck? Okay, let's change that up. So I actually use AI to do this because I'm not as clever as I knew what I wanted. But the dreampreneur is this like, because they're often like they are the obvious outliers too. Like when someone turns up to a call and they've got like full sleeve tats and the pink hair and everything, I'm like, there is a good chance that you are one of two types. The shinepreneur, which is the next one down, Ajna, or the dreampreneur. Not always, but the archetype, because they're not enough real people to know that that's the person, but they are absolutely based on clients of mine that are very in that archetype, and some of them know that. But yeah, the dreampreneur is on this purple background, but she's got this funky like hairdo and stuff, but she's just it's like up there in the clouds, and I'm like, come back down here, choose one thing, go with it, learn from it, like just make a choice and back yourself. And also the parallel work is working on what are you actually fearing that success will cost you? What is this secondary gain of keeping yourself small with all the ideas and all the fluffy stuff and without actually
like
grounding
your dad.
yeah, exactly so it's and I just feel like when people understand the Achilles heel, like any system is just self-awareness, right? But we can't change behavior that we haven't pulled out and put our goggles on and gone, oh, okay, there is a pattern there. So yeah, I feel like raw is seen, but a distilled version of seen that is like the key to the door of understanding, because every single one of these patterns has this beautiful freedom frequency, which I've also paired with goddesses, which is I've just gone a little bit witchy right at the end. Pop art and witchy. I don't know. It's my signature, pop art and witchy. But the goddess, there's an initiation, like an invitation for each one. And then it's a heroine's journey, and which we won't get to in raw. But I'm excited because I'm like, when I share this in one-on-one or small group coaching, people are like, oh, to the point where I was voice coaching with someone the other day and she's like, oh my God, I totally just spoke to you totally from the fear frame of my perfectpreneur. And I'm like, yes, you did. But the fact that you can recognize that and then ask yourself to go here to the wild woman, to the flip side, to the freedom frequency, what you actually want to embody and hold the pose of, what does she have to say about that? And she's, oh my God, that was just a big story that I have been distracting myself. Yes, I'm like, yes, it is. It's love it.
But so coming back to the prevention of contraction, I think there's also the point of the first time you do something and you do have massive growth, it is totally natural to contract. And okay, so you go do it again and then you won't contract, or you won't contract as much. You know? So it's like you're not learning ads this time and you have an offer already set on the back end of it. So like huge pieces that weren't there are already in place. And so even if you redid everything with that amount of effort, you have things in place that you didn't before.
And like you have evidence that you can hold 200 people. Like 200 people now feels like, of course I can do that. Bring on 1,000, bring on, like I thought there'd be 500 people. There's nowhere near 500, but I'm also like, okay, so what is also the lesson there of I feel like visibility, we can get so caught up on the numbers, but it's like, who am I actually impacting with this work? If there's 150 people in a room, and every single one of them get a transformation and ignition from being distilled into one potent understanding rather than 11 days of, I'll give you everything that I have. That excites me. That is like, what is possible? And so that is more of my like, this can actually be easy for me and light and simple. I don't have to slog. And people still, and in fact more so, get the transformation from the potent rather than the overstuffed, over-delivered offer that it's like drinking from a fire hose. Yeah.
So tell
Crazy,
us about
crazy.
Roar, because Roar is happening. If for everyone who's listening in real time, we like
Yeah.
rushed this episode because I didn't open up Kylie's message until a week after she sent it because I was in my own like business winter and celebrating my birthday. But we were like, oh fuck, this is like tomorrow. So
That's all good. So we start Tuesday, the 23rd of September, but it's 9 o'clock in Australian Eastern Standard Time. So it's the day before for people. So I was looking up
So for the
Central.
US, it should be Monday. It's going to be
Yes,
Monday.
Monday.
Yeah. Today's 19, 20, 21, the 22nd. So Monday, September
Yes,
22nd, 2025.
correct.
If you're listening
Yeah.
in real time, you can
Yes.
jump into it. Is there a replay? Is there like, what if they
Yep,
don't
there's
listen for a
replays.
week?
There's also a VIP upgrade that I should have mentioned because it actually starts the day before the actual event. Yeah, I know. Yep, that was one of my crazy ideas, which is crazy because now there's 20 people signed up for that as well. But the reason I did that is because I love group coaching, intimate spaces, but the actual activation it's webinar style. It's not there to be one-on-one coaching or any sort of group coaching. So yeah, so we meet for 3 days for the body of the program. If you sign up to be VIP, it's only a little tiny bit extra and it's 3 extra coaching calls that's much smaller. And you will get individual voice and visibility activation coaching. And yeah, the 3 days replays will be up by the time US people wake up the next day. The replays are up anyway, so it's all there, and you get lifetime access to everything, and you meet the 9 anti-entrepreneurs, and you self-diagnose, for want of a better word, the Achilles heel, and then you can take the process that I teach from the fear frame to the freedom frequency, that process, and use it again and again. Every time you feel another edge of that visibility or the internal pressure of running the show, plug back in. And I actually would recommend that people do it daily. But the good thing is it's a process that you can actually use to embed and hold the pose and embody. This is where I'm going. The fact that I'm scattered and ideating because I'm a dreampreneur means that I'm also the visionary leader. Shifting into that and operating your business and your life from that
And
frequency.
if they want to start with the quiz, what's the
Yes.
quiz URL? Or
That is actually a good question. I do not know, but I will give you. I know.
yeah, I'm like,
we will fix that. It is on my
Kylie
website.
Patchett quiz. Is that going to come up?
Yeah, let's just go kyliepatchett.com/quiz. And I will make that happen as soon as we get off the call.
Great. Yeah,
It's very
send me
fun.
links. I'll definitely put them in the show notes. But just so grateful that you're here, Kylie, and thank you for sharing your story. It's been so fun to be connected with you and watch your journey since we met a little over a year ago.
Yeah. Since I read you under the covers in June.
Under the covers.
It is wild. It goes to show that when you're just sharing your gift with the world, it is like that bat signal, and you get the perfect fit people that are like, they're the ones that are wanting the transformation that you have to offer. So I'm wildly grateful to have found you and worked with you and continuing to work with you. And yeah, I will look back on that voice coaching day as a massive, I feel like there's a big asterisk on the timeline of my life, and I'm like, whoop. Yeah, very cool.
The beauty of being a manifester.
I love it.
Okay, thanks everyone for joining us. I hope you really enjoyed this story. Definitely check the show notes. What's your Instagram handle?
At Kylie Patchett Storytelling.
Okay, so at Kylie Patchett Storytelling, I'm sure there's a link in bio for all the things there.
All the things.
All the things.
Including the quiz.
Yes, and talk to you next week. Okay.
Thank you so much, darling. Bye-bye.
And.